evidence of this wall.
Yeah, go outside.
Come on, Ed. We need somebody with a clear, enunciating voice.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Please don't be long, please don't be very long. Don't be long.
But I would much rather confine this to discussion. Francis' outrageous beliefs about
The Antichrist, the Antichrist. We'll say goodbye with one last kiss. Boom. Well, hi, welcome to Pizzazz. It's the variety format show which could be you. This week, in addition to the subjects of the Antichrist, we're going to be talking about simians in the news. Gorillas, chimpanzees, orangutans, capuchin monkeys, squirrel monkeys, spider monkeys, any old monkey you care to name. We're going to be discussing. On my left here, I have Jim, Ben, Aaron, and to my right, Mr. Evan Kornfeld. My name is Francis DiMenno. Welcome to our show. In Gorilla magazine, published by the Friends of Coco, the Talking Gorilla, a very interesting question is placed to Coco. They ask Coco, Coco, do you like to meet new people? Coco's reply, trouble, devil. Well, I guess that just about sums up the whole notion of new friends. But let's turn to some items in the news about our simian cousins.
Lansing, Michigan. Foes of dwarf tossing. Oh. That's not big news.
dwarves are not simians.
No, they are not.
We'll get to it.
Well, let's talk about it anyway. Lansing, Michigan. Foes of dwarf tossing cottages hope city council's restricted new insurance, medical, and permit regulations will discourage events.
What do you think about this dwarf tossing controversy, Jim?
It sounds dehumanizing to me. Dwarves have long been downtrodden, confined to the limitations of being circus sideshow freaks for a living. Also, C-grade pornographic movies, another famous feature for dwarves, and I just think it's outright wrong, and that's my opinion, Francis.
Well, you know, in a way, if we have seen farther than past generations, it's because we've been standing on the shoulders of dwarves. Would you agree?
That's very true, Francis.
There wasn't Newton who said he was standing on the shoulders of giants, though?
Dwarves, giants, they're both fucking freaks. Get rid of them. I say abolish them. Now, there's another...
That I like.
Now, what's going on in Vermont, Jim?
Vermont? There's gorilla stuff in Vermont. Let me skim through this one. There's nothing about gorilla. Oh, there we go. It's in Cincinnati. Okay. Veterinarian Byron Bernard, 73, who donated gorillas given to him by Dr. Albert Schweitzer in 1957 to the city zoo, once said gorilla buried. Gorilla has been in cold storage since it died in May. Zoo has not decided what to do with the remains. Sounds like a historic gorilla to me, and possibly I can see the zoo's side of the whole picture, because you don't want to just take something that's historic necessarily and bury it.
Well, we evacuated the stomach remains of that gorilla, and, oh, no, I guess they were thrown away. Oh, here they are. Let's see.
No wonder he died.
And look at this handy little item we found. Well, it must be one of those dwarfs that they were tossing around in Georgia that they were so upset about. Well...
Maybe a pygmy from Africa.
Now, in late-breaking news, J. Fred Muggs, the former co-host of The Tonight Show, of the Today Show, I'm sorry, recently appeared at an I Am an American Day rally. What most people at this rally don't realize is that J. Fred Muggs is a native of Cameroon. What do you think of this, Jim?
The citizenship of J. Fred Muggs is not an issue that has been exactly on the forefront of my mind. However, interestingly, this brings us right around conveniently to the issue of convenience checking as an earthly manifestation of the Antichrist.
Well, we'll get to that in a moment, but first, how about this item from a Gibsontown, Florida show? Has two capuchin monkeys which play baseball, so shine shoes, sword fight, and play a variety of musical instruments. Well, if I could marry one of these monkeys, I think I would. Sounds to me as if everything that's needed for human happiness is embodied by these two adorable capuchin monkeys.
Who may also carry what is a green monkey virus? Is this possible?
Yeah.
Progenitor of AIDS? Not the wisest choice for nuptials, though.
Well, my last wife was a capuchin monkey.
No offense intended, Evan.
Well,
Just don't give me a blood transfusion.
and here's another,
I never do.
here's another monkey in the news item.
Mules.
Well, yes, the world's only high-diving mules. In the act, managed by Tim Rivers of McIntosh, Florida, a mule climbs a ramp to a plank which opens like a trapdoor and drops the mule 30 feet into 6 feet of water. Sometimes, the mules dive with monkeys chained to their backs.
So this is where the monkey angle comes in.
Well, I guess you could say that those mules have a monkey on their back, and in a big way.
I say that Tim Rivers, a close personal friend of mine, means no harm with this act. He's simply a person trying to earn a dollar. Once again, showing us the ends to which greed can push people.
Well, that could be, but Tim, in his own defense, says that if the mules didn't want to jump in the water, they simply wouldn't do it.
They'd levitate in midair.
Now, you know, that's a good question.
It's a trap door opening. I mean, think about it.
That gets us into parapsychology. Would the mules jump if there was a rope around their neck? A monkey was once sentenced to death for smoking a cigarette in Cincinnati, Ohio in 1903.
Really?
This brings us to the whole issue of capital punishment for recalcitrant performing animals. What's your viewpoint?
Well, the recent Supreme Court decision allowing people to, or not people, but the states, the right to commit retarded people to the electric chair, that irked me somewhat. But not as badly as the flag burning issue. I think it was a local Boston comedian, Joe Rogan, who proposed the best solution to it, which is simply to make the flags out of asbestos. And unfortunately, we can't carry that as far with retarded people. And then there would be an infinitely more difficult issue to try and manufacture retarded people out of retardant items.
It's been tried, but it didn't work. It wasn't commercially viable.
Well, now that brings us to an item from Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. Police are probing flag burnings on 2 front lawns Sunday that angered residents. Officer Kenneth Schlecht says, "You can burn your own flag, not someone else's. When we get those guys, we'll prosecute, you'll bet." Now, do you suppose that this could have been zoo animals who burned these flags?
Could have been they were just monkeying around. But, it's a good question. There was a case of an elephant burning flags in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Not too far ago. Too long ago, sorry.
Well, now that brings us to the question of whether there should be a union for monkeys. Do you think monkeys, especially performing monkeys and other performing apes and simians, should be unionized? And if
I would
so,
remind you, Francis, that we are simians ourselves.
we
What
are?
are you, a union?
Comedian union, no.
Well, union there is strength, but you could say the same thing about onions too.
So this issue really hits home now, doesn't it?
I think so. In fact, if lousy, flea-bitten performing monkeys can have a union, why can't comedians have one?
Well, we can't. We just haven't paid our dues.
Oh, I get it. Well, if the monkeys were in fact organized into a union, would they send gorillas to collect the union dues? And if so, they, pardon me?
I say it's a good question, Francis.
Well, another non-news. There's a bill that was passed by Congress which would limit non-news TV violence. But what about the TV violence which is on the news?
We'll give that to Tipper Gore.
Well, you know, it's a lot of fun having you gentlemen here on the show. Like,
We still haven't explored the issue of instant banking and money walls, or automated teller machines, and how they relate to comparative theology.
well, before we get into that, there's an item from my friend Stephen Eisenstadt.
I think you're avoiding the issue.
Well, if you want to know the honest truth, I'm a Satanist and I worship the stain on Mikhail Gorbachev's head.
thought that was a map of Serbo-Croatia.
I think it's a map of all of it.
Rebuttal.
I think it's the heartbreak of psoriasis myself.
Well, it could be the fact that Mikhail has studied communism for so long that the red scar has totally mutilated his head.
Or it's leaking out of his brain, all the redness, the communism.
Well, I wonder if there's a corresponding stain on the inside of his head.
Could be, I don't know.
Now, the stain is on the left side of his head. Does that mean that communism governs his creative half?
I think what it means is he was refused at Hair Club for Men. Far more likely down-to-earth explanation, in my opinion.
Well, now this South Kingston item is interesting, maybe even amusing. Local leaders are going bananas over a used car dealership's unusual advertising gimmick. A 6-foot-tall electric gorilla that waves its arms at motorists in a heavily traveled street. Do you think such a thing should be permitted?
No.
No way.
It's a cruel exploitation of electric gorillas.
But this gorilla is clad in overalls. Can you think of the possibilities of an erect gorilla and what kind of consternation that would cause on heavily traveled streets?
What do you think about that, Joe?
I don't think I have any guarantee that that's a male gorilla. Or are gorillas male by definition?
Good point.
Very good point.
Could be a female gorilla.
Who could then have erect nipples? 6 of them.
Really?
Be a guaranteed traffic stop.
Well, answer me this question. When monkeys play poker, do they use their chips?
No.
All right, and why is it that people say that there's nothing more fun than a barrel of monkeys?
The only other people here are
What do you suppose the monkeys are doing in that barrel?
Well, I have a question then. Because I understand, we had a monkey on a mule before, and I've been told at least, if you fall off a horse, the best thing to do is get back up on the horse. I'm wondering, does that mean that I have to, pursue a serious relationship with another head game playing hellspawn named Tina?
She's probably sick.
Well, that's a good question. Women, you can't live with them, you can't live without them.
You can't monkey around with them either.
That's right. Or else, then you'll be not only a chimp, but a chump.
True.
Sage advice.
Well, speaking of horses, if there's any horses in the audience, we have these delicious sugar cubes, and just step right up. Careful with those fetlocks. We're not insured here. So you wanted to talk about the sign of the beast?
No, just the beast relationship to international finance and also commercial rotating checking accounts.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. I think that consumer goods serve the same function for the communists that drugs serve for capitalists. In both societies, these things are forbidden, and yet in both societies, the legislators don't realistically expect the people to give these luxury items up.
You really lost me on that one, Francis.
Well, I suppose you could then draw a parallel between the communist and capitalist systems and international finance. Insofar as credit is done with numbers and the sign of the beast is a number,
Now I follow.
well,
Yeah, no, I just caught on to what he was saying.
Hey, how about
Well-
monkey business?
that's the way the coin
So I'm a
goes.
little bit slow.
Monkey business.
Monkey business, that famous boat.
What's so famous about it, Tom?
That was where Gary Hart was.
That's right. It's docked right down here on the Cape. By God.
Donna Rice.
Well, Thanksgiving came early for Gary Hart that year. Turkey on a bed of wild rice. Well, I hope Gary's not here. If he is, we're sorry.
It's the best joke you ever told, Francis.
But it's no joke. Ironic. That the very things that are supposed to be humorous aren't. Those which are.
Now, nobody here knew who Gary Rice was, or Gary Hart was, so you were safe.
Oh, I see.
They were born yesterday.
Well, does Jesse Jackson's candidacy have anything to do with the song by Johnny and June Cash?
What song is that?
We were married in a fever, hotter than a pepper sprout. We've been talking about Jackson ever since the fire went out. And how does this relate to Jackson's aborted candidacy for mayor of Washington, D.C.? Answer, it doesn't. Well, do we have any graceful way of ending this panel discussion?
No.
I don't know, but I'd just like to say, Francis, that after this, we're probably not going to get into the comedians union.
Not?
I don't think so.
Well, how's about if you do it under assumed names?
Yeah, my name's Fred.
That's Barney.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my name is Wilma. No, actually it's Dino.
It's going to be a relief. Let's close it up.
Okay, now be here next week when we talk about the new triple X-rated feature, The Jetsons XXX, subtitled, I Love You, George Redson. This was Pizzazz. Thank you all for coming out. We'll be bringing up a performer from, come up here all the way from Georgia, and we'd like to bring him up right now. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Evan.
Big hand for Francis and his pals. Hey, let's hear it for him.
When this gentleman sets up, you'll find out that his name is Jonah Turner, and he really didn't come all the way up here. He came all the way here, up from Georgia. And we hope that he'll tell us a little bit about Georgia, one of our favorite states. People are smoking less and wearing their seatbelts more down in Atlanta, but yes, they are. They're smoking less and enjoying it more, and they're also gaining weight. Obesity is up 10%, from 13% to 23%. Obesity is defined as bodily weight in excess of 20% of ideal weight. It's a shame that there's no corresponding value judgment made about intelligence. You can bet that I'd be anorexic. Anyhow, here's John.
I've been asked to say a few words about my home state of Georgia. Georgia, from north to south and east to west, is basically a time warp. If you've ever been there, there are a lot of northerners moving down to the state and bringing their industries with them, hoping to convert the area to a semblance of Secaucus, New Jersey. Let's see. Atlanta is probably the most well-known city in the state. Atlanta is bounded by an interstate called the Perimeter. Now, since y'all burned Atlanta since the Yankees come down and burned it, I guess they figured they would put a large interstate around the city, sort of like a fire break, you know, so it didn't spread outside the city limits. It's 55 miles long, and inside Atlanta you will find almost anything you can find anywhere else except in smaller quantities, and it generally costs more. Outside of Atlanta, all you can do is set your clock back about 20 years and hope for the best. We had there was a protest march last year in Forsyth County, Georgia, up north of the city. The occasion of the protest was the fact that in 1901, all the black residents of the county were thrown out by the Ku Klux Klan because of a murder allegedly performed by a black man. And so these families were thrown out without any reparation or any kind of by your leave. It was just, y'all get out before sundown here. It was that kind of deal. So the Reverend Hosea Williams, who I've had occasion to meet in back of the dumpster of Jerry's liquor store in Decatur, Georgia, led a protest march up there, a very successful protest march. I was fortunate enough to participate. My sign did not deride the Ku Klux Klan, nor did it support the righteousness of our cause. My sign simply read, "Assholes come in all colors," which is a creed I live by. I don't know about the international credit system being a precursor of the Antichrist. It may very well be. I do know the Bible says things are going to get very weird before everything stops. A friend of mine, Pete Stanfeld, had a vision one day, and he was profound enough and prolific enough to put it into words, and this was the result. First a bunch of flying saucers flew over, and I smelled the burning metal reek of Nova, and the CIA and Jehovah, they said blame it on Barcelona. Time, it's on my side, slide. Well, it's on my time. I ride my time slide all the time. Well, I'm crazy. Mickey Mouse is watching from his well-known dial. He knows a myth is as good as a mile. The rescue party's rolling through that smoking pile. Time capsules are better than a time bomb. So I told everyone, come on over. If you have another Nova coming over, it's okay to bring the other Nova over. We can all blame Barcelona. Well, how did a primitive man survive? Bound by lust, he couldn't count past 5. And in the hassle to stay alive, he got sidetracked. He put on clothing and ordered mine. He left his instincts all far behind. He dropped his instincts and he picked up time. And now he's out there looking for a ride back. Sometimes old, awful cold people over. Sometimes Don Juan's Villanova, Nova. Square around, flat, old people over. We can all blame Barcelona. Yes, we can all blame Barcelona. Yeah, strange things are happening these days. One thing that always fascinated me was the worldwide spread of various and sundry legends such as vampirism and lycanthropy. I think, talking about unions, I think we ought to have unions for monsters. This guy could certainly use a union. Oh, the werewolf becomes slipping along. He don't even break the branches where he has been gone. He goes out in the evening when the bats are on the wing, and he kills him the pretty maiden before the birds sing. He cries, nobody, nobody, nobody knows how I love the baby when I tear off her clothes. He cried, nobody, nobody the pain I feel when I see that full moon rising again. Last night I saw the werewolf and the werewolf was crying. Last night I saw the werewolf and the werewolf was dying. He cried. Have pity on the werewolf, have sympathy for the werewolf. Might be someone just like you or me. Have pity on the werewolf, not fear or hate, 'cause the werewolf might be someone that you know only. Crying. It's really nice. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's really nice to be up here in Cambridge and the Harvard area. When I was a kid reading all the biographies of famous folk singers, they all seemed to come up to this area and play. And actually about 20 or 22 years ago, Peter Stamfeld, Antonia, a gentleman by the name of Luke Faust, a girl who we called Betty Boomching, and don't ask me because I never knew her last name really. We came up to Boston and we did a one-night stand for a gentleman who I'd love to get a hold of again. His name was Pete Johnson. Pete was very famous for appearing on the Common in a gorilla costume with a sandwich board with a slogan on it that said something like, "You'll go ape over the prices at A&B," or something to that effect. We spent one day here, and we played the concert that night in a storefront. Don't ask me where. I don't know whether it was South Boston or anywhere. It was a great concert. All 12 people showed up. We had a party afterwards and went out to bars where, due to an emergency situation, I thought I was exiting the bathroom window to the ground floor. Not realizing the ground fell away at a very sharp degree, I actually fell a story and a half and broke my leg, which seemed to summarize the whole trip. But in remembrance of that day, I'd like to do a song we did that night. That preceding song was by Michael Hurler. This song is by Luke Faust. It's called Chop Suey Freedom Blues. After eating your chop suey, after smoking all your dope, I am like a thief who's captured. I've reached the end of my rope, swinging in this void devoid. You don't have to have a reason for the things your heart wants you to do. You could spend your life explaining, imprisoned by your mirror's view. What is yours to you should master you. Freedom is a long, hard road to hoe, I know. Must be different for everyone. Seems like freedom just begun. Freedom is a long, hard road to come. the same. Do you recall the revolution turned into a power party game by the worms who learned to turn a name? Freedom is a long, hard road to hoe, I know. Must be different for everyone. Seems like freedom just begun. Freedom is a long, hard road to come. After eating your chop suey, after smoking all your dough, I'm like a thief who's captured. I've reached the end of my rope, swinging in this void of hope. Thank you very, very much.
The amazing Jonah Turner. He's going to be at the Newport Folk Festival next year, if there's any justice in the world. Well, we have a star-studded lineup of celebrities that are going to make you break out into a cold sweat. Well, we have Fred Bates, and we also have Jim Ben Aaron, and we also have Evan Kornfeld, plus the band Plaster, which will be coming on in about, 20 minutes or so. My name's Francis DiMenno, and I'm your somewhat addle-brained host, and I'm going to tell some jokes, okay? Just because, you know, jokes are what it's all about, I guess. Yeah.
What did you do today?
Oh, this isn't really a joke. I was watching television the other day, and I saw the Kool-Aid jug wearing a toga. Where does this come from? Is this what we want to teach our children? The Roman Emperor Nero, and the Roman Emperor Tiberius, and the Roman Emperor, hey, Kool-Aid. You know, I really dig that. I'm working on an invention. It's called anti-ivory soap. And what it is, it's 44 and 99/100% pure. It's black. You drop it in the tub and it sinks to the fucking bottom. It stinks like shit, but it's really good for your skin. You know, I really like that. I never went to a psychiatrist because, well, maybe I should, but I never went to one because I figure a psychiatrist is just a $50 an hour voyeur. If I want someone to probe my innermost secrets, I'll strip naked in front of the goddamn window. You get what I'm saying? You know? What if Batman were on the dating game, you know? We have Bachelor number 1 and Bachelor number 2. Bachelor number 1. How would you describe yourself? There's nothing wrong with the Joker that my fists can't cure. And Bachelor number 2, what are your interests? Well, my name's Adam West, and I didn't get to be in the Batman movie because I had a pot belly, and I'm going to protest this injustice all the way to the Supreme Court. Thank you, Bachelor number 2. There's no end to that. That's because I just made it up yesterday. Well, yeah, you can even call it making it up, you know. Just taking these sort of like, you know, hit movie plus old TV show equals Buffalo laughs, you know. And speaking of which, gee, you know, if you steal $1, what do they call you?
Still what?
$1.
$1?
If you steal $1 million, what do they call you?
Celebrity.
A millionaire, yeah. If you steal all the money, what does that make you? Head of the Pentagon. You got it. Close, anyway. Yeah, well, I went to a zoo the other day, but it was a cheap zoo.
How cheap was it?
How cheap was it, Johnny? What would I do without Ed? I'll tell you. He may have a red nose and be suffering with cirrhosis, but I love him. He's worth every penny of the $500,000 a year I earn him. Thanks, Ed. Yeah, it was so cheap that the animals were so ashamed of being there that they all wore sunglasses and hid in the corner. This is more or less based on a true story. I went to the Roger Williams Zoo, and they couldn't afford an elephant. So they had a trash can made out of an elephant's foot. Oh. Okay, here's another one of these Boffo laughs equals famous movie combined with TV show we all know and love. Sergeant Dracula. All right, you dog faces. There's a silver bullet out there with your name on it. Oh boy. Okay, how about Huckleberry Finnegan's Wake? River Run, past Paps and Nigger Jim's, leads us by a circumlocucious location to Aunt Polly's house. Hey, I guess you don't read Finnegan's Wake out there. I guess you don't read War and Peace. Yeah, speaking of War and Peace, you know, it's a good thing that Tolstoy's dead because of all that faxing that's going on, you know? I mean, how would you like to be standing in line while he's like zipping off War and Peace to somebody off in the Moscow publishing agency? Here's a joke. Tolstoyevsky, you know, it's all the best qualities of Tolstoy and Dostoevsky combined. I'm losing your attention. What am I going to do, Frank?
I don't know, Francis. What are you going to do?
I guess I'm just going to stand here and pout until I pay attention. Okay, Tolstoy, stay in control. Control. Okay, Tolstoy and Dostoevsky are standing in line at the supermarket. Tolstoy is buying 500,000 heads of cabbage for his serfs. Dostoevsky is standing behind him in the line. Dostoevsky says, "Can I go ahead of you? Can I go ahead of you? All I want to buy is a little bottle of poison." Well, I guess you don't read Russian literature out there. I'll tell you, this is a university town. You know what a university town in my mind is? It's a monkey house in the middle of a snake pit. I just had to lay that on you. I don't know. I went to McLean's Hospital. It's like an insane asylum. No, I'm not going to do any tasteless jokes about insane people. I'm going to do tasteful jokes about them. I told the insane there that God did not exist. And they said, "How do you know?" And I said, "He told me." Yeah. Oh. Okay, here's a little reflection. Isn't the business section of a bookstore a little like the smoking section of a cancer ward? Yeah, cancer, all those groovy jokes. Yeah, we're going to get down to emphysema and psoriasis next. Liberals and conservatives. You know what the big difference is between liberals and conservatives? None of this is like really following. It's all non sequiturs and stuff. I'm sorry, I wrote this thing at like 5:15 in the afternoon. The big difference between liberals and conservatives is, this morning, didn't go to bed either. Big difference between liberals and conservatives is, liberals think that baby harp seals are human, and conservatives think that fetuses are. In other words, abortion is a liberal sacrament and a conservative heresy. I know, we don't want any of this meaningful stuff. Let's get a comedy. Stick to comedy, goddammit. What makes you think you're some sort of social commentator or something? I won the lottery.
No one believes.
What are you doing here?
That's what I like, audience participation, even if it like degrades me, like beat me, kick me, whip me, you know, just as long as you pay attention. I won the lottery.
How much did you win, Francis?
By not playing it.
Stick to comedy.
All right, I got cable so I can be bored by 50 channels instead of 10. How's that for comedy? Oh, all right. Thanks. Yeah, he's reading it. Ew, he's reading it. I hate him. He's reading it. Okay, I was so paranoid when I was in college that my girlfriend would come up to me and say, "Francis, hi." I am not. True story. No, don't do those types of jokes, no. How about that wax that protects your car from holes in the ozone layer which your car just happened to cause? How about it? On the way over here I saw some hogs eating a copy of USA Today. And the headline read, "American pigs are compulsive eaters." Well, on that fine note, I think I'll bring up our next scintillating, humorous, invigorating, adventurous, and far-out guy. His name's Fred Bates. Please give him a really warm hand.
You know, I'd rather be run over by an ambulance as opposed to a hearse, you know, because at least with an ambulance they can do something for you, you know. I suppose when you got to the hospital and you crawled out of the back of the hearse, it would look kind of weird, you know. But anyhow, that's kind of a strange opener, I know. But that's the last morbid joke. I'm gonna last morbid joke I'm going to be doing, you know? Yeah, I got a new license. New license. Yeah, it's got on the name it says organ donor. Sounds like, sounds to me like someone's name, you know? Yeah, I suppose it should be Richard Donor, you know? I suppose it's better than Dick Donor, you know? Is that a dick joke? Yes. Alright. Yeah, why is it that psychic fairs have to advertise anyhow? I can't figure that one out, you know? You know, I was telling my counselor, I said, you know, it's ironic that to be deep, you have to be reflective. And he said, Fred, I think you're really crazy. I told him, relax. I understand. He also told me it was rather clear I was confused, but that's a different story, you know? You know, it's kind of interesting. It's been a tough time for the B-2 bomber, you know, to be or not to be, you know? $500 million for a copy that could solve every tax cut Massachusetts has got. How do they know if it crashed if it doesn't show up on radar, you know? Can't figure that one out. Oh well, we do need a bat plane, you know? Yeah, tell you notice that the people who are vote for the Proposition 2.5s, that's not IQ. The people who don't want to pay any taxes at all for any reason, those are the people who buy the most lottery tickets, you know? Can't figure that out, you know? And they're always like, no tax, no tax. Cut that education, cut that education. Cut that education so that later on you get some more stupid voters who vote to cut that education, I tell you. Boston Herald, it's a weird paper. I swear, talk radio's for people who are too stupid to even read the Boston Herald, you know? Imagine the political shift in the mindscape of America if everybody who listens to talk radio religiously was to suddenly start reading the New York Times. It may sound something like this. Blanche, we was wrong about them money-grabbing politicians they've been telling us about at WBILE. Yes, these domestic spending situations are far more complex than we had previously imagined. Appears as though we were been railing against our fate a bit. Hope you all had a happy 4th of July, when the Supreme Court voted anti-abortion, you know? I swear, it's reassuring to know that when 75% of the people in some form are pro-choice, that 6 men out in Washington can decide everybody's fate. I tell you though, I ever wonder though, if the parents of the pro-lifers, when they're at home watching their kids protesting on television, watching their kids with their thick black glasses and their thick fat necks and their thick southern drawls talking about the rights of the unborn, I wonder if their parents ever turn to each other when they're watching their kids on TV and say, Martha, we really should have had an abortion. That's kind of interesting about Rob Lowe. He got sentenced to 2 years of community service for the youth. And excuse me, but didn't he already do that? Yeah, at first there was Lucille Ball. Then there was it Laurence Olivier on the cover of People magazine. Most recently, there was the actress who was murdered on the cover of People magazine. I swear, don't you think it should be called Dead People? I was reading to my nephew. I was reading him Winnie the Pooh. And I read to him and I says, Nathaniel, do you like Pooh Bear? And he says to me, oh, Uncle Fred, I love Pooh Bear. And I told him that's good because he's dead! Excuse me. Well, I lied about the last morbid jokes, you know. That was the last morbid joke, okay? Elton John was recently in town last night. I'd like to do my Elton John imitation. Blue face, baby's got blue face, 'cause she's dead. Thank you. That was my last morbid. That was my last morbid joke. Last morbid joke. Like to do Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen. I go to sleep each night with gasoline in my bed, candle burning up by my head. Ooh, I'm on fire. Thank you very much. It's the last gross, tasteless joke I'm gonna do. Bruce Springsteen, Bruce Springsteen. Last week I was an airline pilot. Yeah, everything was fine. And then somewhere over Seward City, I heard a bang and it was way out of line. We're going down, 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 down. Okay, all right. I got a reaction. Thank you very much, man. Yes. That's my last gross joke. I'd like to do a tasteful. You think that was bad? Shut up. I'd like to do a tasteful tribute to Roy Orbison. Roy Orbison. I'm so tired of being lonely. I still have some love to give her. Lay your body next to mine and dream on. This act has died. It's been a very morbid act. There's only one thing that's gonna bring it back, and that's Elvis. Wise men say all their fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with myself. Thank you very much. Good night.
How's about it, Fred Bates? Well, now we're gonna bring Jim, Ben, Aaron up. Now we started with me, which was like, you know, zero cool. We got Fred, who's like, you know, up on the arc. Now Jim is gonna like, we're not gonna start him before your very eyes, Mr. Jim Ben here.
Thank you, Francis. I was wondering, if you're born again, do you get 2 birthdays? So I'll do it if I can get more stuff. I was gonna do political stuff tonight, but no, that's not right. So I'm just gonna do random stuff, like go through my list and whatever looks good. I was thinking about my driving test. Was anybody here nervous during their driving test? You know, because I was nervous, not because I couldn't drive, but because the guy had a gun. Why did the registry cops have guns? I'm like, I don't understand it. So we got out on the road, he's telling me what to do. He's like, pull into traffic, you know, stop at the light, you know, take a right. He's like, okay, parallel park outside that liquor store. So I parallel park, like, I'll be right back, keep the engine running. Guy gets out of the car, I'm like, what's going on? Comes running back in, takes a stock, and I said, okay, hit it, take a left. And he's making out the pink slip, so I'm like, psych. If you're bored, go into Boston and ask for directions to something, and you know where it is. Don't tell the people that, and if they don't know or they get it wrong, taunt them. Wrong, numbnuts. Trinity Church is in Copley Square opposite the public library. What are you, stupid? I took a tour in Spain. The guy giving the tour, he was speaking in Spanish, but it was rough because he needed a translator into Spanish. El Casa El Casa Grande. He said, Esta El Casa Grande. It really happened. Yeah. Lying's important. Think about it. The more fun something is, the more you lie about it. Lie about sex, lie about drinking. And like, it's really important that there is lying because none of us would be here. No one would get laid if you couldn't lie. And that's the truth. I learned about lying at a young age with my mother. I got into a fight in high school, and in high school, you know, fight's kind of a big deal. They kick you out of school, and they call your house and everything. So I get home, I know I'm in trouble. I burst through the door, I'm like, Mom, I got in a fight! It was great! She's like, cold, you know. I know. The school called me. You're in a lot of trouble. I'm like, Mom, I killed him. It was excellent. So like, when your father gets home, you don't know how much trouble you're going to be in. Fighting's wrong, son. You could hurt yourself. You could hurt someone. Like, Mom, he called you a dinosaur neck. She's like, oh, well, that's very different. Never mind. You guys don't like that. Open up a phone sex line for women to make more money. It goes like this. Hi, I'm a dentist. No, you look great at that way. You don't need to lose any weight. Let's take a spontaneous vacation, Aruba or the south of France. You called that? If the audience is paying attention, this sometimes works. I need a new job, and I was reading a translation of a magazine for Japanese career women and it said in the classifieds that they could get faithful Caucasian husbands by mail. How do I get that job? See, that wasn't your fault, that was my fault. Because I said housewives, and that just dropped the ball right there. I said, but you know, getting married is good. I saw a wedding down behind the Bow and Arrow pub last weekend. There was like a horse-drawn carriage up front. I'm going back, I'm like, really beautiful big horse there. And I didn't really have anyone around it that I could see. I'm looking at this horse, this magnificent creature. And then this guy in like a hat and tails, he comes around the side and looks at me like I'm doing something wrong. I'm like, nice cow. But I wanted to know why the horse was there. So I went up the steps, I look into the vestibule, and the bride's there in white, and she looks really pretty. And there's no one around. I guess she was just about somebody, like her father's going to come back in and lead her down the aisle. It's a really pretty sight, and she looked fantastic. And I wanted to say something, because she saw me, and I'm like way out of context. I'm dressed like this. And she looks at me, and she kind of smiles, and I'm like, well, what can I say, you know, because this is a big day for her. It's really important. And I wanted to say something nice, like, you know, you look like an angel, or never forget this day, treasure it forever. But what came out was different. What came out was, I saw the groom boink a black prostitute at the bachelor party on Friday night, and you're gonna get AIDS now. So she was crying at a wedding. That was touching. Touching. She was crying, man. Yo, Kelso, you're on deck. Fear the Birds was a docudrama. Animal Farm is a true story. This Christmas, watch for Frosty the Abominable Mutant Snowman in a nuclear winter wonderland. Okay, we'll wrap it up here. I'll tell you about my Vietnamese girlfriend. I had this girlfriend, she was from Vietnam, and we didn't get along too well because our backgrounds, I think, were so very different. You know, I grew up in the suburbs, played Little League Baseball, and, you know, went through all the grades and stuff, and, you know, and I didn't grow up adrift in the South Pacific in a state of semi-starvation with 200 other people on a 40-foot long boat, which she did. And there was a language barrier too, you know, as if the cultural stuff wasn't enough. The language barrier was really rough too. She could speak English, but if she got excited, if we got into a fight, we had some real bad fights. If we got into a fight, you know, she couldn't keep up in English, and she'd start speaking Vietnamese, and she'd make big scenes in restaurants. We'd be sitting there, and she'd say, I'm like, what do you say to that? So, you know, I did my best. I didn't want to make a scene or anything. So I stand up from the table, I put my chair in, go back, and say, and then she gets more pissed off, you know, like I'm not giving her respect. Thank you. That's an honor. Come on up, Francis.
Wow, watch it, you don't know your own strength. Jim Ben-Air. And now we're going to bring up yet another comic, but a fella that's just going to make you look at life a whole different way. Yes, the funny side of life, with my good friend and a long-time open mic veteran, Mr. Evan Kornfeld.
I don't know why I'm doing this. I think I started out on the wrong foot in life. When I was born, my mother had my birth filmed. I got bad reviews. The worst part was my twin brother got good reviews. It's created sort of a tension between us. When we were 8 years old, he tried to kill me. It's true. Put glue in my oatmeal. Didn't talk to him for a long time after that. My family, we lived next door to the skydiving school. One day this guy came down in our backyard. His parachute got tangled up in the branches of this old oak tree that we had. So my brother and I, we climbed up in the branches, and we found that by pulling on the ropes, we could use this guy like a marionette. So we put on a puppet show for the kids in the neighborhood. But then our mother came out and yelled at us. Seems we weren't supposed to play with things that didn't belong to us. So we left them up there. Made a lot of noise at first. kept us awake at night. But after a while, he quieted down. Then he started to track dogs and cats from around the neighborhood. But now he's just a conversation piece. I recently took a class in rock climbing. They had us start out small. We started out climbing gravel. Then we worked our way up to curbstones. But I found out I'm afraid of heights, so I had to drop out. Then I took a class in Zen Buddhism. I didn't do any of the readings, didn't do any of the homework, and I never went to class. I got an A+. My parents didn't understand me when I was growing up. They put a lot of pressure on me to become a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. I couldn't make them understand that my real dream in life was to become the king of polka music. I know that I have it in me to do a really awesome rendition of Roll Out the Barrel. But they wouldn't give me the money to buy an accordion. So I decided to make one. Ripped the keyboard off my parents' grand piano and glued it onto the vacuum cleaner. Worked pretty well, I thought. Finally, I ran away from home because I couldn't stand it anymore. I joined the circus. I became the personal manager for the dog-faced boy. I took pretty good care of him. He got really sick once and I called the doctor. I could tell he was sick because his nose was warm. But he wouldn't listen to my advice though. He ran off to Hollywood to pursue a career in movies. He saw himself as a sort of a cross between Robert Redford and Benji. I don't know. My parents came to a bad end though. My father had a job working in a slinky factory. He was killed in an industrial accident. It took us weeks to uncoil him. We had some fun with him though. We got him to walk down the stairs. I remember when I was about 14 or 15 years old, my mother became convinced that I was possessed by the devil. She called in a priest and an exorcist and all that. Turned out all I had was acne. Well, that's enough for me. Back to your fabulous host, Francis. Thank you.
Evan Kornfeld, another hymn.
This is Phil Rizzuto for the Money Store. Are you a homo?
No? That was an impression. Now we're going to bring up an impressionist who does good impressions, original impressions, impressions you've never seen before, impressions that'll leave an impression on you. His name's Charlie Kvaaks. He's a first timer here, so be kind. Charlie, come on up.
Kermit the Frog here, and welcome to the Muppet Show. And our special guest tonight is Mr. John Wayne. Yay, the Duke himself, yay!
Well, I ain't gonna step on you, so hell I ain't. Well, I almost stepped in the Muppet, caca. Well, my name is Kublai Khan, leader of the Muppet tribe. And if you Muppets are ever gonna amount to anything, you've gotta do what you're told and obey it. Now tomorrow, we're gonna take the town of Mr. Rogers again. And remember, when we go into town, it's burn his sweater, round up the sheep, kill the men, and make love to the women. And for God's sake, let's get it right this time. Hey, how's everyone doing tonight, huh? What a crowd here, I tell you. Oh, I'll tell you, I love a crowd, I love a crowd. I'll tell you, last week was a rough shape though, you know? But I'm doing all right now. You know, last week I was in rough shape, you know. I'll tell you, I worked at Meineke Muffin when I got caught strangling Pee Wee Herman. I lost my job over it and everything. I'll tell you, he comes in with that voice, he drives me crazy.
Good morning, everyone. I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler. Last night I dreamt I was a muffler. I woke up exhausted.
I'll tell you, I said, Pee Wee, we're not going to charge you. You're a famous celebrity. As a matter of fact, exhaust is the secret word. And you know what happens when you say the secret word? Ah! I grab it, stand his voice. Can you imagine waking up to a Pee Wee alarm clock in the morning? Well, that's enough to make you call your boss. Look, my day's all fucked up. No way am I coming into work, you know? Or how about a James Brown alarm clock? That would really wake me up. Hey! Cinnamon! Hey! And I'll tell you, if anyone should give Pee Wee advice, I figured it'd be a guy like Jack Nicholson. Well, to tell you the truth there, Doc, I guess it's because I fight and fuck a lot. You know what I mean there, Chief? Just your average horny little devil there, Doc. How do they get a load of me? Hey, you know, Jack Nicholson saw this indecent exposure act. He was called in to testify. And the judge said to him, you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth to help you God? Nicholson looked at him and said, I swear to God, Your Honor, I swear to God. He said, well, what did you see? Exactly what did you see? He goes, Your Honor, I seen him fucking. He says, you can't use that kind of language in here. This is a court of law. You're going to have to describe in your own words what you saw. Well, Your Honor, his pants were down below his knees. His balls were dangling in the breeze. His dick was in the forest of hair. If that ain't fucking, I'll take the chair, Your Honor, I'll take the chair. Well, thank you. Hey, the other day I read in Star magazine that Clint Eastwood has a new cooking show out. It's called Clint's Hints. And he opens up the show in this fashion. My name is Clint, and I'm talking to him. I know what you're thinking out there, that I use 5 or 6 eggs to make this cake. But to tell you the truth, I kind of lost track myself. But see now, this is a Hamilton egg beater, the most powerful egg beater made, and it can whip your head the cake clean off. You got to ask yourself a question. Do you feel lucky, or do you, punk? Go ahead. Woo! Make my cake. Hey, imagine if you had like Rocky Balboa on his show, right? And Rocky comes out with this side of beef, he's gonna show Clint how to tenderize the beef. Hey, yo, Clint, how you doing there? Yeah, it's me, Rocky, yeah. I'll tell you, when you want to tenderize the beef, you gotta talk, you gotta hit it first, you know? I'll tell you, you gotta talk to it. My name is Sly, I'll tell you no lie. You mess with me, you're gonna fry, you know what I mean? Hey, it's alright if I say hello to Adrian out there. Yo, Adrian, how you doing? Hey, listen, Clint, I gotta go. I gotta do something new. Rocky 92. I tell you, there's no end to that guy. Next movie will be Rocky. That was funny! Rocky goes Hawaiian into a beef blanket Balboa. How about that? I'll tell you, I'm gonna close out now with 2 of my favorites. Kurt Douglas and Burt Lancaster. But first, I gotta put the Kurt Douglas face on. You know something there, Burt? Doc says I got the whitest teeth he's ever seen in his life. Ah, but what about my teeth, huh? My teeth are whiter than your teeth. My teeth. My teeth. My teeth. My teeth. All right? You'll never find a bigger dick than mine. My dick is bigger than your dick. I swear to you, when my mother stole my father's movie, I make every breath I take it. My dick is bigger than your dick. Hey, did anyone see that movie Spartacus? Y'all like that movie? Yeah. You remember at the end when they all came up to kill him? And all unity, all the soldiers were there, they were asking, all right, who's Spartacus? And they're all going, I'm Spartacus. Yeah, no, I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. If I was Kurt, I would have went, yeah, that's right, he's Spartacus. I'm out of here. Hey, I'm out of here too. Good night, everybody. You've been great.
Charles Kvaaks. Charles Kvaaks. A pleasure and a privilege to have you, Charles. Another hand for him. That was an extraordinary show. Well, lurking in the pointy window is none other than Joey Cagnoli. I won't tell you his real name, but he'll be performing here at 9 o'clock. But now we're going to bring up Plaster. Plaster, will you please come on up? These people are hungry for you. They want you. They love you. They need you. And as we all know, plaster makes perfect. Plaster. And while Plaster sets up, I'll tell you about some of our coming attractions. On August 5th, which is a Saturday, we have the band A. If you get here at 1 o'clock sharp, you won't miss out on a single smidgen of all the fun we're going to have until 7 p.m. Next week, we have Jeffrey Gagnon in his long-awaited reappearance here at the open mic, along with Dan Keller from the band Vasco da Gama. And on the 12th, we have the Rolling Stones. I was told to say this. I was told to say it. Oh, they don't believe me. All right, look at your hand, Francis. On the 16th, we have Chad Crumb. We're also going to have our tribute to Woodstock, in which, you know, all the people who didn't get to perform at Woodstock are going to show up here and perform in front of a crowd which is 1/100th of 1% the size of that crowd that showed up at Woodstock. And on the 23rd, yeah, I'll bet you're all very curious about what's happening on the 23rd. Well, we have our first year anniversary of the open mic here at the Middle East. All sorts of incredible celebrities are going to be here, or else I'll never talk to them again. Not that they talk to me. I'm too unimportant for them to notice. But we're also going to have a young lady named Mary Lee Lorth. She'll be performing. And on the 30th, I know this is so far in the future. I mean, you know, I don't even think about an hour from now, let alone 4 weeks. I'd better think about an hour from now because I'm in big trouble. Well, and on the 30th, we have a fellow named Mark Nielsen. So the month of August is going to be hopping here at the Middle East, both at the Wednesday open mic and at the Saturday Blues Jam. I highly recommend you go to the Blues Jam on Saturday, even if you don't want to go to the open mic, which we wouldn't blame you, but anyway, here they are, Plaster. Well, not quite, but soon, almost. I'll let them take it from here. Let's have a hand for them just to encourage them.
Welcome to our live rehearsal. This isn't real.
See, we knew this was going to happen. We knew it.
This is Campbell's. the few, the proud, the brave, Plaster. I guess you all hate me if they can't just do one more. You guys want to do one more? Figure out another song to do. I guess we'll.
Well, my friends, I'm sorry to say, but I think that's it. That it, Francis?
That's it. Hey.
Plaster makes the heart grow fonder. Plaster. Our beautiful, extraordinary friends in Plaster. I'd like to close the Cafe Cabaret with a minor observation. I know you've heard enough of me. A critic, you know what a critic's like? A critic is like the overseer on a plantation who tells the master in the big house how to decorate the big house. But let's have a hand for Plaster and all the other fine performers we have tonight.
They say you're a wise man. It's a town when he gets you down and riding. He gets you down and riding. He gets you
Any requests?
Ultimate shed rot.
Ultimate shed rot. I agree. Penultimate.
Let's go.
Uber shed rot.
Let's shed off.
Trembling hands, I killed my darling wife because I loved her more than life. My love for her will last a long, long time, but I'd rather die than live to lose my mind. So I'll live my life in prison for the wrong that I've done, and I'll pray every night for death to come. My life will be a burden every day. If I could die Okay, so he kills his wife. And he sent him to jail. Tough break. You know, country boy, he's not really used to the street, you know what I'm saying? He ends up having to, well, you know, I don't know. I'm embarrassed to even talk about it, but yes, he has to do it with other convicts. I don't know, I can't really feel that bad for the guy. I mean, he killed his wife, for Christ's sake, so. But nonetheless, I guess I'm supposed to represent things as far as I can in his own perspective, and so the jury found verdict first degree. Well, they swore that I bled her death free. Well, I'm free that they sentenced me to die, but they want me to live, and I know why. Joe Pernice, Bob Pernice, the amazing Clark Dark, Shed Rock, early 90s.
Well, if you're not too tired, let's have another hand for these fine performers. Tomorrow night we have J Gag's variety show. Starts at 9, ends at 2. Big fucking deal. I can hear you say it even as I speak. It's a fucking deal. It's $6. Just so you know, I know. All right. And also, I'd like to remind you that Shed Rock is nothing new, because in the good book it says that the three boys in the furnace were Mesoc, Shed Rock, and Abednego.
Lay it out. Lay it out.
Now I'd like to remind you of one more thing.
Shed Rock.
Don't do it.
Kill the cow. Shed Rock.
Once you get Harvard in your system, you never get it out. And you might say the same thing about Joe Harvard and his band Troublemaker.
Kill the cow.